Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another reading of Chaos Theater Collective. That's right, we're still going. We're almost at year number 3. Can you believe it? Tonight we are going to be reading The Great Gatsby. It's not obviously the full book, but we will be reading an adaptation of it. And this week's reading is directed by Matt Jenke, who has been with us pretty much from the beginning of 2020.
May of 2020.
May of 2020.
Yep.
What was the first read?
Inherit the Wind.
Inherit the Wind was your first read with us? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, Matt, do you have anything that you want to say before we go?
Yeah. So I'm Matt Jenke, and this is actually my first time solo directing CTC production. I'd like to thank Val for messaging me, asking if I would direct. This is one of my favorite books, movies, and this cast is so amazing, and I can't wait for everyone to watch it.
All right. I'm very excited. So everyone enjoy. We will be also having, like I said, I think we're going to be doing an intermission. But I'm so excited. Oh, and before I forget, please join us next week when we do a reading of the play Arsenic and Old Lace. We will be starting our spooky season. Very exciting. That read is going to be directed by Brian Davis, and stick around because we are also coming up to our final read of 2022, and the vote will be put out coming soon, and that will be voted on by the group. So group, if you have an idea of what you want to read, we're gonna put it to a vote. So everybody have a good time and enjoy The Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby. Place, Long Island, New York. Summer 1922. Thrilling Charleston music. Lights up. All the characters are on stage, dancing, wild and uninhibited. Daisy and Tom Buchanan, Jordan Baker, Myrtle and George Wolfson, Mr. and Mrs. McKEE, and other dancers. Only Gatsby remains distant and mysterious, wrapped in mist, staring off into a blinking green light, dressed in a white tuxedo, half turned away from us so he's not completely visible, insubstantial, ghostly, an illusion. And there's something strange about this first moment, also as if we're looking at a photographic negative, a memory. This is important because we revisit this scene later when its meaning will become clear. As the dancing gets wilder and wilder, Nick Carraway appears at the back of the stage, suitcase in hand. He weaves his way through the mist and the dancers. Unnoticed, he reaches the front of the stage just as the music and dancing reach their climactic frenzy. Everyone freezes.
In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages you've had. He didn't say any more, but we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way, and I understood that he meant a great deal more than that. Gatsby, the man who gives his name to this story, represented everything for which I had an unaffected scorn. That if personality is an unbroken series of successful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life. He had an extraordinary gift for hope, a romantic readiness such as I have never found in any other person, which it is not likely I shall ever find again.
Daisy rushes on stage, followed by Jordan, or perhaps they float in on a divan. Daisy is mercurial, utterly compelling, and always the center of attention. In truth, she is a classic manic depressive, much like Zelda Fitzgerald. By contrast, Jordan is almost mannish, athletic, emancipated, and self-assured. The Buchanan house forms around them as Gatsby slowly disappears.
Nick, darling, I'm paralyzed with happiness.
Hello, Daisy.
Nick CARRAWAY, Miss Baker. Nick is my cousin.
Second cousin, once removed.
He and Tom graduated Yale together.
Did you play football as well?
No, Tom was the football hero. I was.
Nick! There you are!
Hello, Tom.
Care for a drink?
Not yet. A little early for me, thanks.
Who needs a refresher?
Tom pours a drink. He consumes alcohol the way he used to play football. Daisy flops on a divan, pulling Jordan down with her, cuddling like lovers.
Nick, I've been telling Jordan all about you.
You found the place all right?
Hard to miss.
Where are you staying?
Across the sound.
Where they?
A little cottage I found.
Really?
What a strange community. On either side of me are these huge estates that must go for 12, 15,000 for the summer.
What are you paying?
80 a month.
Welcome to East Egg. Well,
How long are you staying?
Until I make my fortune.
Tom will help you, won't you, darling?
I stopped off in Chicago on the way out, and at least half a dozen people send their love.
Do they miss me?
Whole town's desolate. All the cars have their left rear wheel painted black as a mourning wreath, and there's a persistent wail all night along the North Shore.
How gorgeous. Let's go back, Tom. Tomorrow. You ought to see the baby.
I'd like to.
She's asleep. She's 2 years old. Haven't you ever seen her?
Never.
Well, you ought to. She's...
what are you doing these days, Nick?
Learning to be a bondman.
Who with?
Probity Trust.
Never heard of them.
Oh, well, you will.
Any money in bonds?
Everyone I know is doing it, making lots of money. After being in the war, well, Midwest feels kind of dull to me. That's why I've come east. Father's financed me for a year.
Where are you from?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Hmm.
You'll be as rich as Midas one day.
I bought about a dozen books on banking and credit and investment securities, studying all the time.
You'll help him, won't you, Tom?
Oh, I'm stiff. I feel like I've been lying on that sofa for as long as I can remember.
Well, don't look at me. I've been trying to get you to New York all afternoon.
This'll help.
It's prohibition.
So what?
Besides, I am absolutely in training.
Ah. How you ever get anything done is beyond me.
I recognize you from somewhere.
You said I live across from the Sound in West Egg. I know somebody there.
I don't know a single.
You must know Gatsby.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
He is that huge mansion that looks like an imitation of a French hotel.
The one with the tower.
Those huge parties.
I live right next door. Our lawn's practically.
In 2 weeks, it'll be the longest day in the year. Do you always watch for the longest day of the year and then miss it? I always watch for the longest day in the year and then miss it.
We ought to plan something.
All right. What do we plan? What do people plan? Look. Look, I heard it. You did it, Tom. I know you didn't mean to, But you did it. That's what you get for marrying a brute of a man, a great, big, hulking, physical specimen of a...
I hate that word, hulking, even in kidding.
Hulking, 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 hulking.
Have a drink, Nick.
All right.
I got a nice place here.
Enormous. The sunken gardens.
It belonged to Domain, the oil man. I'll show you around.
Don't take him away yet.
Come on, I'll show you the ponies.
Please, Tom.
You planning to stay in the East?
I'd be a goddamn fool to go anywhere else.
This is a permanent move.
They hated France.
How long were you there?
About a year, then we followed the polo event. Polo circuit.
Drifting endlessly. Parties and yachts and hulking men hitting wooden balls with mats. I love to see you in my house, Nick. You remind me of a rose, an absolute rose. Doesn't he, Jordan? An absolute rose.
What is it you're in training?
Shh.
This Mr. Gatsby you spoke of.
Quiet, quiet. I want to hear what happens.
Is something happening?
You mean you don't know? I thought everybody knew.
I don't.
Why? Tom's got some woman in New York.
Got some woman.
She might be at least have the decency not to telephone him at home.
Couldn't be helped. I looked outdoors for a minute, and it's very romantic outdoors. There's a bird on the lawn that I think must be a nightingale. Yes, a nightingale come over on the Cunard, or with White Star Line. He's singing away. Isn't it romantic, Tom?
Yeah, very romantic. Before you leave, Nick, I'm going to take you down to the stables.
Telephone rings again. Everything stops. The telephone keeps ringing.
Excuse me.
We don't know each other very well, Nick. Even if we are cousins. You didn't come to my wedding.
I wasn't back from the war.
Oh, yes, that's true. I'd forgotten. War took a lot of young men away. I've had a very bad time, Nick. And I'm pretty cynical about everything.
I suppose she talks and eats and everything.
Who?
Your daughter.
Pammy? Oh, yes. Listen, Nick. Let me tell you what I said when she was born. Would you like to hear? It'll show you how I've gotten to feel about things. Well, Pammy was less than an hour old and Tom was God knows where. I woke up out of the ether with an utterly abandoned feeling and asked the nurse right away if it was a boy or a girl. She told me it was a girl, and so I turned my head away and wept. All right, I said, I'm glad it's a girl, and I hope she'll be a fool. That's the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool. You see, I think everything's terrible anyhow. Everybody thinks so, the most advanced people. And I know. I've been everywhere and I've seen everything and done everything. Sophisticated. God, I am so sophisticated.
10 o'clock. Time for this good girl to go to bed.
Jordan's going to play in the tournament tomorrow over at Westchester.
Oh, you're Jordan Baker, the golfer.
Good night. Wake me at 8, won't you?
If you'll get up.
I will. Good night, Mr. Carraway. See you noon.
Of course you will. In fact, I think I'll arrange a marriage. Come over often, Nick, and I'll fling you together. You know, lock you up accidentally in the linen closets and push you out to sea in a boat and all that sort of thing.
Good night. I haven't heard a word.
I knew I'd seen her somewhere before. I see pictures of her in the paper all the time. Golf championships at Palm Beach, Asheville. Wasn't there a story about her?
She's a nice girl. They oughtn't to let her run around the country this way.
Who oughtn't to?
Her family.
Her family is one aunt about 1,000 years old. Besides, Nick's going to look after her, aren't you, Nick?
Rich girls don't marry poor boys.
Nonsense. She's going to spend lots of weekends out here this summer. I think the home influence will be very good for her.
Is she from New York?
From Louisville. Our girlhood was passed together there.
Did you give Nick a little heart-to-heart talk while I was on the phone?
Did I? I can't seem to remember.
Don't believe everything you hear, Nick.
I haven't heard a word. Well, good night, Tom. Daisy.
Good night, my sweet one. Good night, my dear sweet Nicky. Good night. Good night.
Daisy blows him kisses as Tom takes her off stage. Gatsby's love theme drifts in and he appears out of the mist. He's still not completely visible, more shadow than substance, staring out at the blinking green light. Nick turns and looks at him.
Yes, Gatsby turned out all right at the end. But it's what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams, that's been haunting me. Haunts me still.
The eyes of Dr. Eckelberg glow ominously in a valley of ashes. Gatsby disappears. Tom enters and takes Nick's arm.
Come on. I want you to meet my girl.
A yellowish sign appears. Wilson's Garage. Repairs. Cars bought and sold. George Wilson enters, gray as the ashes surrounding him.
Hello, Wilson. How's business?
Yeah, can't complain. When are you going to sell me that car?
Next week. I got my man working on it now.
Works pretty slow, don't he?
No, he doesn't. And if you feel that way about it, maybe I better sell it somewhere else after all.
I don't mean that, Mr. Buchanan. Yeah, I just meant.
Get some chairs, why don't you, so somebody can sit down?
Oh, sure.
I try to teach him manners.
Myrtle, this is Nick CARRAWAY. We went to Yale. We went to Yale together.
How do you do?
Hello.
I want to see you.
So,
Get on the next train.
what if I don't want to?
You want to.
What makes you so sure about that? Think you can walk in here and order somebody around?
Just get on the next train.
Will you get me that dog that you promised me?
I'll get you a whole brood.
You promise?
Woof, woof.
Well, in that case.
Meet me at the apartment in an hour.
All I meant about the car was.
We gotta go. Just showing Nick here the neighborhood.
Yes, sir, Mr. Buchanan. I was just thinking that.
Guy said I'll see about the car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Buchanan.
Terrible place, isn't it?
Where are we?
Queens. Hard to imagine people choose to live like this.
Awful.
It does her good to get away.
Doesn't her husband object?
Wilson? He's so dumb he doesn't know he's alive. He thinks she goes into New York to see her sister.
Uptown jazz, lively and drunk. The Valley of Ashes disappears as Tom and Myrtle's gaudy New York apartment forms around Nick and Tom. Myrtle, with Mr. and Mrs. McKEE, joins the party. He's snobby and effeminate. She's silly and vapid. Everyone's tanked.
Most of these fellas will cheat you every time. All they think about is money. I had a woman up here last week to look at my feet, and when she gave me the bill, you'd thought she'd had my appendix cut out.
I like your dress. I think it's adorable.
This? Oh, it's just a crazy old thing. I slip it on sometimes when I don't care how I look.
Oh, but it looks wonderful on you. Doesn't she look wonderful in that dress?
Wonderful.
Do you like the apartment, Mr. Carraway?
Nice.
Tom bought it for me, didn't you, Tom?
I'm tired of dancing. Drink with me, Nick.
I really should get home and study.
There's plenty of time to make money. Come on, here. Drink up.
If Chester could only get you in that pose, Myrtle, I think he could make something of it. Couldn't you, Chester?
I'm in the artistic game.
Really?
You should see his work. Chester has photographed me 127 times. Haven't you, Chester?
129.
Come on, dance with me, Mr. Carraway.
I would love to change the light. I'd like to bring out the modeling of your features. That profile. And I'd try to get a hold of all the back hair.
Oh, I wouldn't think of changing the light. I think it's...
Shh.
We need more to drink. Stop shaking your ass, Myrtle, and get some more ice and mineral water before everybody goes to sleep.
I told that boy about the ice. These people, I'm telling you that they have to keep after them. I have to keep after them all of the time.
I've done some nice things out on Long Island. 2 of them are framed downstairs.
2 what?
2 studies. One of them I call Montauk Point the Gulls, and the other I call Montauk Point the Sea.
Where the hell is she?
Do you live down on Long Island too?
I live in the West Egg.
Really?
Would we know your place?
No, it's just a small summer rental.
Oh, we were down there at a party about a month ago.
At a man named Gatsby's.
Do you know him?
I live next door to him.
Really? Well, they say he's a nephew or a cousin of Kaiser Wilhelm's. Or is it von Hindenburg? I'm scared of him. I'd hate to have him get anything on me.
Somebody told me they thought he killed a man once.
I don't think it's so much that. It's more that he was a German spy during the war. I heard that from a man at the party. Knew all about him, grew up with him in Germany.
That's not right, because he was in the American Army during the war. You look at him sometime when he thinks nobody's looking at him. I'll bet he killed a man.
They say he doesn't even live in that house, but lives on a boat that floats secretly up and down on the Long Island shore.
I think
Oh, Tom, stop it. You make me spill everything.
Neither of them can stand the person they're married to.
Can't they?
Can't stand him. What I say is,
if I was them, I'd get a
why go
divorce.
living with them if they can't stand them?
If I was them, I'd get a divorce and get married to each other right away.
Doesn't she like Wolfson either?
Yeah, you try being married to a stupid, ambitious bastard who smells like grease. Oh, gosh.
You see?
As soon as they can, they're going out west.
It's really his wife that's keeping them apart. She's a Catholic, and they don't believe in divorce.
Leave Daisy out of this.
Daisy's not Catholic.
Oh, she really ought to get away from her husband. They've been living over that garage for 11 years. And Tom's the first sweetie she ever had.
It was on two little seats facing each other that are always the ones left on the train. I was going to New York, right, to see my sister and spend the night. He had on a dress suit and patent leather shoes, and I could not keep my eyes off of him. But every time he looked at me, I had to pretend to be looking at the advertisement overhead.
What the hell are you doing? Get over here.
Shut up, I'm telling a story. Okay, so when we came into the next station, he was right next to me with his white shirt from front, pressed just right up against my arm. And so I told him I'd have to call a policeman, but he knew I lied. I was so excited that when I got into the taxi with him, and I just didn't hardly know I wasn't getting into a subway train, right? All I kept thinking over and over again was, you can't live forever. You can't live forever.
That's enough, Myrtle.
No, the great man speaks.
Hey, that's enough booze for one afternoon.
Oh, get your hands off me. And where's that dog you promised me? Mrs. McKEE, I'm going to give you this dress tomorrow, and as soon as I'm through with it, but I've got to get another one, and oh yes, okay, I'm going to make a list of all the things. I've got to get a massage and a wave, one of those cute little ashtrays with the little spring on it. Oh, and a wreath, a black silk wreath. Surely that won't weather in the storms at my mother's grave. And a little dog. Tom, you promised me. I've got to write this down so I won't forget all the things that I've got to.
I really should get going.
No, wait, no. Stay.
Yes, stay.
We live right downstairs. I could show you my portfolio.
I've been drunk just twice in my life. And this is the second time this afternoon. I don't think Daisy would find it admirable.
Daisy. Everybody talks to her like she's some goddamn saint.
Shut up, Myrtle.
Don't tell me to shut up. I'll say anything I
told
like.
you about using her name.
Oh, Daisy. I
mean it, Myrtle.
Daisy.
Come on, everyone.
Myrtle, let it go.
I'll say whatever I want to. Daisy.
Tom punches her in the face, breaking her nose. Myrtle collapses.
Pastor, you son of a bitch.
The others help her.
Oddly, I began to like New York.
Joyous dance music, party lights twinkling mysteriously through a mist and a sky full of stars.
And all the while there was music from my neighbor's house. In his blue gardens, men and girls came and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne and the stars. And then early one Saturday morning, a chauffeur crossed my lawn and gave me a surprisingly formal note. The honor would be Gatsby's, he said, if I would attend his little party that.
Out of the mist, Gatsby and his garden appear. He looks around at his world, charming and dangerously sexy. He approaches Nick and speaks in a slightly affected manner, picking his words carefully.
Your face is familiar. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war?
Why, yes, how did you? I was in the 9th Machine Gun Battalion.
I thought so. I was in the 7th Infantry until June 1918. Miss it?
War? Yes. I think I enjoyed it so much I came back restless. Made going home pretty dull.
I know what you mean. I doubt most of the people here have any idea what it's like being in the trenches.
So it's something you forget.
No, it's not. Where are you from?
St. Minneapolis.
I know them well. Listen, I just bought one of those new hydroplanes and I thought I'd try it out in the morning. Want to go with me, old sport? Just near the shore, along the sound?
What time?
Anytime that suits you best.
Yes. Yes. I'd like that very much. By the way, I'm Nick. Nick.
Mr. Carraway!
Miss Baker, hello.
I thought you might be here. I remembered you lived next door. Have fun?
Well, it's an unusual party for me. I've been here for hours and haven't even seen the host. I live over there, and this man, Gatsby, sent over his chauffeur this morning with an invitation.
I'm Gatsby.
What? Oh, I beg your pardon.
I thought you knew, old sport. I'm afraid I'm not a very good host.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a call from Detroit.
Tell him I'll call him later.
That may not be such a good idea.
If you want anything, just ask for it, old sport. Excuse me? I'll rejoin both of you later. I said a small town, Meyer. He's no use to us if Detroit is his idea of a small town.
I feel like an idiot. I kept imagining Gatsby as an extravagant and fat, middle-aged. Who is he, do you know?
He's just a man named Gatsby.
Oh, where's he from? I mean, and what does he do?
I haven't the faintest idea.
But people don't just come out of nowhere and suddenly buy a palace on Long Island.
Well, Gatsby did.
But he must have some sort of palace.
Now you're starting on the subject.
It's just that everyone keeps talking about it.
Well, he told me once he was an Oxford man. However, I don't believe it.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't think he went there.
I've heard the wildest rumors about him.
That he killed someone?
Yes.
That he was a German spy?
Yes.
That he runs an underground pipeline from Canada?
He does.
Anyhow, he gives large parties. And I like large parties. They're so, intimate. At small parties, there isn't any privacy. You having a good time?
I'm having a good time with you.
Dance with me.
All right.
You know, Date is very taken with you. She hasn't stopped talking about flinging us together.
And then she'd be happy about tonight.
Are you in love with her?
Isn't everyone?
Yes. If I tell you a secret, do you promise to do something about it?
What do you mean?
Tom's woman in New York. She isn't the first. One night in Santa Barbara, California, right after he and Daisy got married, Tom ran into a wagon on the Ventura Road and ripped a front wheel off his car. The girl who was with him got into the rippers too because her arm was broken. She was one of the chambermaids in the Santa Barbara hotel.
Why does Daisy put up with it? Why doesn't she just leave him?
Maybe you're the one meant to help her.
I beg your pardon. Miss Baker?
Yes?
Well, Mr. Gatsby would like to speak to you. Alone.
With me?
That's what he said.
Think about what I just told you. Please, come and see me. Phone book? Under the name of Miss Sigourney Howard, my aunt.
She's a very famous person.
Yes, I know.
And Mr. Gatsby. He's a fine fellow, isn't he? Handsome to look at. And a perfect gentleman.
Yes.
He's an Oxford man.
So I've heard.
Well, he went to Oxford College in England. You know Oxford College?
I've heard of it.
Well, it's one of the most famous colleges in the world.
Have you known Gatsby for a long time?
Several years. I made the pleasure of his acquaintance just after the war. I knew I had discovered a man of fine breeding after I talked with him an hour. I said to myself, there's the kind of man you'd like to take home and introduce to your mother and sister. Well, I see you're looking at my cuff buttons.
They look like ivory.
Finest specimens of human molars.
Oh, well, that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to run off from you two young men before I outstay my welcome.
No need to hurry, Meyer.
Oh, you're very polite, but I belong to another generation. Enjoy. Discuss your sports and your young ladies and your... As for me, I won't impose myself on you any longer.
Hope I didn't say anything to offend him. You were talking about his cuff buttons.
He's quite a character around New York, a denizen of Broadway.
Who is he anyhow? An actor?
No.
A dentist?
Meyer Wolfsheim. No, he's a gambler. He's the man who fixed the World Series back in 1919.
Fixed the World Series? How did he do that?
He saw the opportunity.
Why isn't he in jail?
They can't get him, old sport. He's a smart man. Smart men are hard to get. Remember, we're going up in the hydroplane tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
I'm so sorry I didn't recognize you earlier.
Don't mention it. Don't give it another thought, old sport. 9 o'clock.
I'll be there.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, old sport.
Nick leaves Gatsby standing alone in the mist and twinkling lights. Daisy appears, standing in the glow of the green light. She sways as if dancing to the faint music.
Daisy! Daisy! Daisy, where the hell are you? What are you doing down here?
Looking at the party lights.
Oh, God. You know how worried I get when you disappear like that.
Do you?
Of course I do. You know I do.
We ought to go sometime. Dance again.
Oh, you don't want to associate with those people. Come on, let's go inside.
I miss the parties.
I know you do. And we'll go again. I promise. But right now, Pammy needs you. Come on.
I'll be up in a minute.
I said Pammy needs you.
And I said, in a minute.
Fine. Fine. Do as you like.
You mean like you?
Look, I don't know what's gotten into you lately, but forget it. Just come back before Pammy goes to bed.
It was so much nicer a long time ago when we had each other and the space about the world was warm.
Sound of a hydroplane. Gatsby and Nick, wearing aviator goggles and caps, enter.
What a machine!
Fantastic!
Thrilling, old sport!
Thrilling!
I thought we'd go into New York later and have lunch.
Anything! I'm all yours today.
Look here, old sport. What's your opinion of me?
What?
I said, what's your opinion of me?
Sound of the hydroplane fades.
We've only just met.
Be frank, old sport.
No. Honestly, I've heard all sorts of rumors.
I'm going to tell you something about my life. I don't want you to get the wrong idea of me from all these stories you hear. This is the God's honest truth. I'm the son of some wealthy people in the Middle West, all dead now. I was brought up in America, but educated at Oxford because all my ancestors have been educated there for many years. It's a family tradition.
What part of the Middle West?
San Francisco.
I see.
My family all died, and I came into a good deal of money. After that, I lived like a young Raja in all the capitals of Europe. Paris, Venice, Rome, collecting jewels, chiefly rubies, hunting big game, painting a little, things for myself only, and trying to forget something very sad that had happened to me long ago. Then came the war, old sport. It was a great relief, and I tried very hard to die, but I seemed to bear an enchanted life. I accepted a commission as first lieutenant when it began in the Argonne Forest. You were there.
At Saint-Mihiel-Salient.
This was near Souilly. I took 2 machine gun detachments so far forward that there was a half-mile gap on either side of us where the infantry couldn't advance. We stayed there 2 days and 2 nights of 130 men with 16 Lewis guns. And when the infantry came up at last, they fought and found the insignia of 3 German divisions among the piles of dead. I was promoted to be a major, and every Allied government gave me a decoration, even Montenegro, little Montenegro down on the Adriatic Sea.
Gatsby pulls a medal out of his pocket.
That's the one from Montenegro. See what it says?
Orderi di Danilo, Montenegro, Nicholas Rex.
Turn it over.
Major J. Gatsby for valor extraordinary.
Here's another thing I always carry, a souvenir of Oxford days. It was taken in the Trinity Quad.
He hands Nick a photograph.
The man on the left is now the Earl of Doncaster.
Then it's all true.
Of course.
Didn't mean it like that. It's just that.
All right, old sport.
Why are you telling me that?
I'm going to make a big request of you today, so I thought you ought to know something about me. I didn't want you to think I was just some nobody.
You planned all this.
I knew I could trust you. You see, I usually find myself among strangers because I drift here and there trying to forget the sad thing that happened to me. You'll hear about it this afternoon.
At lunch.
Yes, but not with me. You'll be having lunch with Miss Baker.
Do you mean you're in love with Miss Baker?
No, old sport, I'm not. But Miss Baker has kindly consented to speak to you about this matter.
I don't understand. Why don't you just tell me yourself?
Jazz music. A New York restaurant forms around them.
It's a delicate matter, and I'd rather...
Hello, Nick.
Tom, what are you doing here?
Eat here all the time. Where the hell you been? Daisy's furious because you haven't called up.
Oh, this is Mr. Gatsby. Mr. Gatsby, Mr. Buchanan.
Sir? How'd you happen to come this far uptown to eat?
I'm having lunch with Mr. Gatsby and Miss Baker.
Yeah, you behave yourself with her. I'll be up at the apartment later. Stop by and see us. We'll have a drink. If you'll excuse me, I have some friends waiting. Nice to meet you, sir.
He's married to my cousin, Daisy. They live across the sound from you.
Yes. Look, I hope I haven't made you angry about this business with Miss Baker.
No, it's not that. I just don't like mysteries.
It's nothing underhand. You don't make much money, do you?
Not very much. Not yet.
I thought you didn't, if you pardon my... I happen to carry on a little business on the side, a sort of sideline, you understand? And I thought that if you don't make very much...
Hello, boys.
Miss Baker.
Hello, George.
Hello. Nick, Jay, did I interrupt something?
No. Please sit down. Thank you, Miss Baker. Thank you both. Well, enjoy your lunch.
Is she always like this?
He knows what he wants.
Well, it's nice to see you again, even under mysterious circumstances.
Not that mysterious. Not really.
What's going on?
You know Daisy and I grew up together?
She told you.
Daisy Faye, the most popular girl in Louisville.
Ragtime music. Daisy appears in a 1917 dress, laughing and flirtatious.
We all envied her. She was dressed all in white and had a little white roadster, and all day long the telephone rang in our house.
If you behave yourselves, I'll spare each of you exactly 1 hour.
And excited young officers from Camp Taylor demanded the privilege of monopolizing her nights.
Gatsby appears in uniform, slow blues haunting and aching. Gatsby takes Daisy in his arms and they dance, lost in each other.
Well, one night I'm walking by her house. This was 1917. And she's on the porch dancing with a lieutenant I'd never seen before. They were so engrossed in each other that they didn't see me, and he was looking at her in a way that every young girl wants to be looked at. And because it seemed so romantic to me, I have remembered the incident ever since. His name was J. Gatsby.
Gatsby.
Why, Lieutenant Gatsby.
And I didn't lay eyes on him again for over 4 years. Even after I met him at one of the parties, I didn't realize it was the name man until the other night. Anyway, they became inseparable. Promises were made, and then he left for the war. She changed after that, became distraught, withdrawn. I don't know what happened, something to do with her family, but after the war was over, she just up and suddenly married Tom Buchanan in Chicago.
The love theme becomes a waltz. Tom enters with champagne and pearls.
He arrived with an entourage and more pomp and circumstance than Louisville ever knew before. The day before the wedding, he gave her a string of pearls valued at $350,000. I was a bridesmaid.
Tom wraps Daisy in pearls as if he were imprisoning her. She sinks to the floor drinking from the champagne bottle.
Half an hour before the bridal dinner, I went to her room and found her lying in her bed, as lovely as the June night, in her flower dress.
Congratulate me, Jordan.
And as drunk as a monkey. She had a bottle of champagne in one of her hand and a letter in the other.
Never had a drink before, but oh, how I do enjoy it.
I was scared, I can tell you. I'd never seen a girl like that before.
Here, dearest. Take him downstairs and give him back to whoever they belong to. Tell them all Daisy's changed her mind. Do you hear me? Daisy's changed her mind.
I didn't know what to do. I locked the door and got into the cold bath.
The dearest heart of all. Do you hear me? Dearest heart of all.
She wouldn't let go of that letter. She took it into the tub with her and squeezed it up into a wet ball and only let me leave it in the soap dish when she saw that it was coming into pieces like a snow. But she didn't say another word. I gave her spirits of ammonia, put ice on her forehead, hooked her back into her dress, and half an hour later, we walked out of that room, the pearls around her neck, and the incident over.
What was in the letter?
It was from him.
Gatsby.
He was coming home from the war to marry her.
Then why did she?
She heard the name Gatsby for the first time in years the day you first visited. Do you remember?
What a strange coincidence. He's here.
But it isn't coincidence at all. Don't you see? Gatsby bought that house to be near Daisy, to be just across the bay from her.
Really?
He wants to know if you'll invite her to our house come afternoon and then let him come over.
You mean he's waited 5 years, even bought a mansion so he could come over some afternoon to a stranger's cottage to have a liaison?
All this time, he's half expected her to wander into one of his parties some night, but she never has. That's why he gives them. He wants her to see his house, to see what he's created for her. And your house is right next door.
Incredible.
Will you do it?
Does she want to see him?
She's not to know about it. Gatsby doesn't want her to know. You're just supposed to invite her to tea. Alone, of course.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable.
Daisy out to have something in her life, don't you think?
What about you? What if I invited you to tea? Would you come?
Ask me.
Nick draws her close and they kiss as Nick's cottage forms around them. A small couch and too many flowers. Jordan exits. Gatsby enters and paces, looking extremely nervous. He wears a white flannel suit, silver shirt and gold tie, and is carrying a leather-bound album.
Have you got everything you need in the shape of tea?
All set.
Are you sure you're all right with this? I wouldn't want to do anything out of the way.
It's fine. Fine. Would you like something while you wait?
No, it's raining.
I noticed.
I'm going home.
What?
Nobody's coming to tea. It's too late. I can't wait all day.
Don't be silly. It's just 2 minutes to 4.
You don't understand, old sport.
Sound of the car driving up and a horn.
See?
Is this absolutely where you live, my dearest one? It's adorable. Absolutely adorable. Are you in love with me? Is that why I had to come alone?
There's a knock at the front door.
Jay,
Hello, Daisy.
I'm glad to see you again.
We've met before.
We haven't met for many years.
5 years next November.
Jordan says you've been naughty with her.
Have I?
See, I'm the perfect matchmaker, though I'm very angry with her. She left my car out in the rain with the top down and it's ruined, absolutely ruined. At first she lied about it. So you be careful with her, Nick. She's incurably dishonest.
Well, if you'll both excuse me.
Where are you going?
I thought I'd get some tea and cake.
I'll help you. Oh, God.
What's the matter?
This is a mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake.
You're just embarrassed, that's all. Daisy's embarrassed too.
She is.
Just as much as you are.
Does the suit look all right?
It's very nice.
What'll I do? What'll I say?
You're acting like a little boy. Not only that, but you're rude. Daisy's sitting in there all alone. Go on.
I thought if we ever met again, it'd be when we were old and decrepit. You're as handsome as ever, Lieutenant Gatsby.
Would you like to sit?
Yes. Did you know I'd be here?
I arranged it. Here.
Are these all me?
They're newspaper clippings from the last 5 years.
My debut. Chicago. Oh, look at that silly hat. Even Europe.
He's a good polo player.
Yes. Tom has a knack for winning. Jay, I tried to wait. Really, I did. But
Look at this.
how handsome you are in your uniform. You never married.
No.
I'm sorry for all the hurt I've caused you when we could have been so happy. I've missed you, Jay. I've missed you so much. I've never missed you as much as I do now.
Oh, hello, old sport.
It stopped raining.
How's it? What do you think of that, Daisy? It's stopped raining.
I'm glad, Jay.
I want you and Daisy to come over to my house. I'd like to show you around.
You sure you want me to come?
Absolutely, old sport. My house looks well, doesn't it?
That huge place there?
Yeah, the whole front of it catches the light.
Oh, Jay, it's splendid.
It is splendid.
Took me 3 years to earn the money that bought it.
I thought you inherited your money.
I did, old sport. Do you like it?
I love it, but I don't see how you live there all alone.
I keep it always full of interesting people, night and day. people who do interesting things, celebrated people. There are music rooms and sunken baths, bedrooms in period styles, marble swimming pools, and jonquils.
My favorite.
Hundreds, thousands of jonquils everywhere.
Oh, Jay.
A large rack of shelves appears, full of dozens and dozens of colorful shirts.
I've even got a man in England who buys me clothes. He sends over a selection of things at the beginning of each season, spring and fall.
He pulls shirts off the rack to show her. She takes them and holds them close.
They're such beautiful shirts. It makes me sad because I've never seen such beautiful shirts before. If only it were possible to reverse time. Erase it. Just erase it and begin again. Do you think that's possible, Jay? To erase time as if it never happened? You said you'd come back from no matter where you were, and here you are, gleaming like silver. And I said I'd be waiting. Remember? My hair was damp that night. Yes, and you, so handsome in your Brooks Brothers uniform, smelling like new goods, the garden smelling of wisteria and pine forests. And you told me you loved me. And I thought you were the sweetest person in the world. And the music everywhere, filling the pine forest fragment with our future. We were gold and happy, weren't we? Gold and happy. And you trusted me with the dearest heart of all. And it's so much more than anybody else the world ever had.
She throws her arms around him and they kiss, deep and passionately, laughing and crying, wildly happy. She throws a shirt at him. He throws one back. And now they're pulling shirts off the racks, flinging them at each other. At Nick, pulling him into their game. The three of them hurling shirts at one another as more shirts rain down on them from above, turning the stage into a sea of color as lights fade to black. End of Act 1. Intermission. Act 2. Gatsby's party lights fill the stage, the cast dancing to the sound of a full orchestra. This is the Charleston. This is the jazz age. At the center of it all are Gatsby and Daisy, crazy, uninhibited and joyous. Even Myrtle's there, dancing with Tom. Everyone picks up the shirts, dancing with them, filling the stage with swirling color, the frenzy mounting, the dancing faster and faster, out of control, until they all collapse in exhaustion and laughter at the end of the dance.
These things excite me so. These things excite me so. I've never met so many celebrities. If you want to kiss me anytime during the evening, Nick, just let me know and I'll be glad to arrange it for you. Just mention my name or present a green card. I'm giving out green tonight.
Are you having a good time?
We're here in your garden, Jay. Your beautiful garden. It doesn't seem possible, does it? I can't believe it's possible. Will you have somebody look it up in the encyclopedia and see if it's really true? Look it up under G for Gatsby.
Slow music. Daisy and Gatsby dance. So do the others. And then the world drops away, and we hear their love theme. and only Gatsby and Daisy are dancing now, slow and sensuous, and others have frozen in tableau. It's as if Gatsby and Daisy are back in 1917, together again and in love, their dance saying it all as they blend together, exquisitely beautiful and sensual. Then Tom breaks away from Myrtle and cuts in on Gatsby, shattering the illusion. Lights change and the party comes back to life.
Where have you been?
Talking with those people over there.
She's common, but if you want to take down any more addresses, here's my little gold pencil.
Who is this Gatsby anyhow?
They say he owns some drugstores. A lot of drugstores.
Yeah, right.
He built them up himself.
Probably some big bootlegger.
Be quiet. You have no reason for talking like that.
Well, he certainly must have strained himself to get this menagerie together.
At least they accomplish things. They're more interesting than the people we see.
What's come over you? They're vulgar. Broadway riffraff. I don't know why I let you talk me into this. Come on, let's get out of here.
A popular song, Daisy begins to sing with the music in a husky, rhythmic whisper, bringing out meaning in the song like it's never had before. Chicago South Side and Forbidden Nights. The others gather round. Daisy transforms, something darker, sexual, more substantial as she goes deep into the song. Tom grabs her.
You're embarrassing us.
Let go of me.
I'm say, old sport.
Look, I don't know who the hell you are or what's going on, but I'm sure as hell going to find out. I'm getting the car.
Jay,
If it wasn't for the mist, we could see your house across the bay. You always have a green light that burns all night at the end of your dock.
It burns for you, Jay. It's always burned for you.
Jay,
Just a minute, Meyer. Do you mean it? Do you really love me?
Yes.
And that's all that matters. I'll take care of everything. Wait here. I'll be right back.
I'm going to leave Tom.
About time.
When?
When it can be arranged.
Are you sure?
In fact, I just want to go and not tell Tom anything. Do you think I'm making a mistake?
A car horn sounds, insistent and loud. Daisy looks around in confusion. The horn sounds again.
Daisy! Daisy!
Angry honking.
I wouldn't ask too much of her so soon. You can't repeat the past.
Can't repeat the past? Why, of course you can.
He walks down the stairs out at the green light.
And this time I'm going to fix everything just the way it was before.
Almost 5 years he'd waited for her. There must have been moments when Daisy tumbled short of his dreams. Not through her own fault, but because of the colossal vitality of his illusion. It had gone beyond everything. How could one mortal possibly live up to it? The king's daughter, the golden girl, illusion! But no amount of fire or freshness can challenge what a man will store up in his ghostly heart.
Nick, hurry up! Daisy is expecting us for lunch. Gatsby's coming too.
Is he all right? I went over to the house yesterday and this character right out of a cops and robbers picture opens the door and says, "What do you want?" I said, "Is Mr. Gatsby sick?" "Nope," he says, and he slams the door in my face.
He's fired all the servants.
Why?
so there won't be any gossip. Those are Wolfsheim's relatives up there taking care of the place. Daisy sees him almost every day in the afternoons.
That isn't very discreet.
So?
She ought to be more careful.
You really are moral, aren't you?
It isn't that. It's just, what if Tom finds out?
Daisy drove over to Gatsby's yesterday with her suitcases packed, ready to run off, but he wouldn't go.
In other words, he's got her, and now he doesn't want her.
Of course he wants her. They love each other, but he has to be done right. He's looking for some sort of atonement, a renunciation of the years lost.
How can Daisy do that?
He wants her to tell Tom that she never loved him. She's promised to do it today. Come on, we don't want to miss the fun. I'll get the car.
I'll drive.
Why?
You're a rotten driver.
I am not.
You nearly killed that workman the other night.
What workman?
The one you hit with your fender. Either you ought to be more careful or you oughtn't to drive at all.
I am careful.
No, you're not.
Well, then other people are.
What's that got to do with it?
They'll keep out of my way. It takes two to make an accident.
Suppose you met somebody as careless as yourself.
I hope I never will. I hate careless people. That's why I like you. It's certainly hot.
Where's Mr. Thomas Buchanan, the athlete?
Rumor has it, he's on the telephone with his girl.
Mr. Gatsby, I'm glad to see you again, sir. Nick? Jordan?
Make us a cold drink, please. You know I love you.
You forget there's a lady present.
Well, then you kiss Nick too.
Oh, what a low, vulgar girl. Oh.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. Kiss him. I want to see you kiss him.
When are you going to tell him?
Soon, soon. I promise. Oh, darling, don't look so sad. There's nothing in all the world I want but you and your precious love. Come here. Quick. Look at that. I'd like to get one of those pink clouds and put you in and push you around. Oh, thank heaven. Something cool to drink. What do we do with ourselves this afternoon? And the day after that? And the next 30 years?
Don't be morbid. Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall.
But it's so hot. And everything's so confused. Let's go to town. Who wants to go to town? Oh, you look so cool. Always so cool. You resemble the advertisement of the man. You know, the advertisement of the man in the shirts.
All right! Let's go to town. Come on! What's the matter anyhow? Huh? If we're going to go to town, let's start.
Are we just going to go? Like this?
You wanted to go.
Oh, it's too hot to fuss. Have it your own way. Come on, Jordan.
I don't see the idea of going to town. Women get these notions in their heads.
Shall we take anything to drink?
I'll get some whiskey.
I can't say anything in this household, sport.
She's got an indiscreet voice. I don't know what it is. It's like it's full of...
Her voice is full of money.
Yes, that's it. It's full of money.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the plaza. Ah.
Yes. And hire 5 bathrooms and take cold baths and drink mint juleps.
The Buchanan house disappears. And Gatsby's car appears. It's ostentatious, yellow and bright with nickel. They all stare in disbelief.
Shall we go in my car?
I would have expected a chauffeur.
I prefer to do my own driving.
Are the gears standard?
Yes.
Well, how about you take my coupe then and let me drive your car to town?
It takes some getting used to.
I'm sure I can manage.
And you may need to get some gasoline.
If it runs out, I can stop at a drugstore. You can buy anything at a drugstore nowadays. Oh, come on, Daisy. I'll take you in Mr. Gatsby's circus wagon.
You take Nick and Jordan. We'll follow you in the coupe.
Did you see that?
See what?
You think I'm pretty dumb, don't you? Perhaps I am, but I have almost a second sight sometimes that tells me what to do. I made a small investigation of this fellow.
And you found he was an Oxford man.
Oxford man. He wears a pink suit.
He did go to Oxford.
Oxford, New Mexico, maybe.
The Valley of Ashes and Wilson's sign appears.
I'm stopping for gas.
Tom blows the horn. Wilson enters and stares at the car.
Let's have some gas, Wilson. What do you think? We stop for to admire the view?
I'm sick. I've been sick all day.
What's the matter?
I'm all run. I'm all run down.
Well, do I have to do it myself?
I need money pretty bad, Mr. Buchanan. I was wondering what you were going to do with your old car.
How do you like this one?
Oh, yes. It's a nice yellow one.
Yeah, pretty fancy, eh? Ever seen anything this fancy before?
No, sir, Mr. Buchanan.
Like to buy it?
Big chance. No, but I could make some money on the other.
What do you want money for all of a sudden?
We've been here too long. Got to get away. Myrtle and I want to go west.
She does.
She's been talking about it for 10 years. Now she's going, whether she wants to or not. I'm going to get her away.
Why is that woman staring at me?
What do I owe you?
I had just got wised up to something funny the last 2 days. Yeah. Wised up real good. Why? I want to get away. That's why I've been bothering you about the car.
What do I owe you?
I really need that car, Mr. Buchanan.
What do I owe you?
$1.20.
Keep the change.
I don't need to keep bothering you. But
I'll let you have that car.
You will?
Yeah, I'll send someone over tomorrow afternoon.
One last look between Tom and Myrtle. The car disappears, leaving Myrtle alone in the blazing eyes of Dr. Eckelberg. Soft jazz at the Plaza Hotel room appears. Daisy, Gatsby, Tom, Jordan, and Nick enter the stifling heat of the room, exhausted and irritable.
It's a swell suit.
Open another window.
There aren't any more.
Well, we'd better telephone for an axe.
Forget about the heat! Jesus! You make it 10 times worse crabbing about it, for Christ's sake.
I'd let her alone, old sport. You're the one that wanted to come to town.
Yeah, that's a great expression of yours, isn't it?
What is?
All this old sport business. Yeah, where'd you pick that up?
Now see here, Tom, if you're going to make personal remarks, I won't stay here a minute. Make us some mint juleps.
By the way, Mr. Gatsby, I understand you're an Oxford man.
Not exactly.
Oh, yes, I understand you went to Oxford.
Yes, I went there.
When was this?
I told you I went there.
And I heard you, but I'd like to know when.
It was in 1919. I only stayed 5 months. That's why I can't really call myself an Oxford man.
Yeah, right.
It was an opportunity they gave to some of the officers after the armistice. We could go to any of the universities in England or France. I chose Oxford.
Open the whiskey, Tom, and I'll make you a mint julep. Then you won't seem so stupid to yourself. Oh, look at the mint.
Wait a minute. I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause at my house?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Oh, self-control! Yeah, I suppose the latest thing is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out.
Good God, Tom.
I know I'm not very popular. I know I don't give big parties and invite every riffraff from Broadway and the picture shows. I suppose you gotta make your house into a pigsty in order to have any friends.
We can talk about my house later when there are no ladies present. What I want to tell you, old sport, is that there's...
Please don't. Please. Let's all go home. Why don't we all go home?
That's a good idea. Come on, Tom. Nobody wants a drink.
I want to know what Mr. Gatsby has to tell me.
Your wife doesn't love you. All right? She never loved you. She loves me.
You must be crazy.
She never loved you. Do you hear? She only married you because she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake, but in her heart, she never loved anyone except me.
Why don't we all head back?
You're not going anywhere!
Yes, we are, Tom. Come on, Daisy.
It's time someone finally told you exactly
Oh,
what...
you gonna lecture me on character, Jordan? That's a laugh. Nick, has your girlfriend here talked to you about that tournament at Asheville that
Tom!
She cheated to win that tournament. The great golf champion. Yeah, now what is it you wanted to say to me, Jordan?
Let's go, Daisy.
Sit down, Daisy.
Look here, Tom.
Stop yelling at her.
I want to know what's going on.
I told you what's been going on for 5 years, and you didn't know.
You've been seeing this little fellow for 5 years.
Not seeing. No, we couldn't meet. But both of us loved each other all that time, old sport, and you didn't know.
Oh, you're crazy. I can't speak about what happened 5 years ago because I didn't know Daisy then, and I'll be damned if I see how you got within a mile of her unless you brought the groceries to the back door. But all the rest of that is a goddamn lie. Daisy loved me when she married me, and she loves me now.
No.
Oh, she does, though. The trouble is she gets foolish ideas in her head, and she don't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy too. Yeah, sure, once in a while I go off on a spree and I make a fool of myself. But I always come back, don't I, Daisy? And in my heart, you know that I love you all the time.
You're revolting. Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised they didn't treat you to the story of that little spree of his. And Santa Barbara. And the Riviera.
Daisy, that's over now. It doesn't matter anymore. Just tell him the truth, that you never loved him, and it's all wiped out forever.
Why? How could I love him? Possibly.
You never loved him.
I never loved him.
Not at Deauville.
No.
Not that day I carried you down from the punch bowl to keep your shoes dry? Daisy?
Please don't. There, Jay. Oh, you want too much. I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I loved you too.
Loved me too.
Even that's a lie. She didn't know you were alive. Why, there's things between Daisy and me that you'll never know. Things that neither of us can ever forget.
I want to speak to Daisy alone. She's all excited now.
Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it mattered to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you from now on.
You don't understand. You're not going to take care of her ever again.
Huh. I'm not. Why is that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense.
I am, though.
She's not leaving me! Certainly not for a common swindler who'd have to steal to put the ring on her finger.
I won't stand for this. Please, let's get out of here. It's so hot. So hot.
I'll take care of you.
Who are you anyhow? You're one of that bunch that hangs around with Meyer Wolfsheim. That much I happen to know.
Let's go, Daisy.
I made a little investigation into your affairs, Mr. Gatsby.
You can suit yourself about that, old sport.
I found out what your drugstores are.
What about them?
I'll tell you what they were. He and this Wolfsheim bought up a bunch of side street drugstores here and in Chicago and sold grain alcohol over the counter. That's just one of his little stunts. I picked you for a bootlegger the first time I saw you, and I wasn't far wrong.
It's prohibition. Nobody cares. And where do you get your booze from, old sport?
Don't call me old sport! Stop calling me old sport! This drugstore business, it's just small change, huh? You got something now. You got something on now that everyone's afraid to tell me about. Something to do with Wolfsheim, huh? Something really big. Oh, but I'll find about it. Oh, yeah, I'll find about that. Old sport, you can bet your ass about that.
Gatsby makes a quick, threatening move at Tom. For an instant, we see Gatsby for the street tough that he is. Dangerous, ready to kill. Tom grabs an ice pick and brandishes it as a weapon.
Please, please, I can't stand this anymore.
Tom has the ice pick at Gatsby's throat. Gatsby holds his ground.
Are you going to kill me, old sport?
Daisy screams and runs out. Tom keeps the weapon at Gatsby's throat. Finally, Nick crosses in and bravely holds out his hand. Long standoff. Tom hesitates, then gives Nick the weapon.
Our keys, please.
Gatsby and Tom exchange keys.
If you'll excuse me.
Gatsby exits after Daisy. Tom grabs the bottle of whiskey.
Want any of this stuff? Jordan? Nick?
What?
Nick? Want any?
No.
What the hell's the matter with you?
I just realized that today's my birthday. 30. 30 years old. I was 30, and before me stretched the menacing road of a new decade. It was 7 o'clock when we finally got into the coupe and started to Long Island. Tom talked incessantly, exulting and laughing as if he'd won a football match. Human sympathy has its limits. And beside me, her head on my shoulder, Jordan nestled close. I didn't know her anymore. 30. Promise of a decade of loneliness. A thinning list of single men to know. A thinning briefcase of enthusiasm, thinning hair. So we drove on toward death, through the cooling twilight.
Wilson's sign and the Valley of Ashes appear. Wilson enters with a suitcase and Myrtle's clothes. Myrtle runs in after him.
You can fool me, but you can't fool God.
What are you doing, George?
His wife's man. That's what they say. Don't think I don't hear that? His wife's man? No more, Myrtle, no more!
George, what are you doing with my clothes?
We're leaving day after tomorrow, as soon as I sell that car.
You're crazy!
I found this yesterday, hidden in the burrow.
You've got no right.
You thinking stupid, Myrtle.
It's for my sister, for her dog.
Think I'm stupid because all I own is a garage?
No, George. I promise you,
I got things figured out, Myrtle. I ain't stupid.
I never said that. I was
Coming back with your face all busted up.
It ain't right what you're doing.
Something all right, that's for sure.
Give me back my clothes. You got no right.
She grabs for the suitcase. They fight over it, scattering clothes all over. She slaps him hard across the face.
I hate you. I have hated every minute of you. Oh, what are you gonna do? Beat me? Beat me, huh? You're gonna beat me, George.
She breaks free and starts stuffing her clothes into the suitcase.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Myrtle. I didn't mean. It's just that.
Oh, just shut up! Shut up! I can't stand your voice. It's like a slug crawling in the dirt. I should have left you a long time ago.
Please, Myrtle. Please. Don't leave me. I'm getting the money. Just like I promised. I'm getting the money.
Sound of a car approaching, swerving headlights. She sees the car.
Oh, he's come back. Oh my God. He's come back for me.
She runs toward the headlights, waving her arms.
Myrtle!
Wait!
Myrtle!
I'm here!
The headlights ignite black the stage, screeching tires, sound of a car hitting a body. Blackout. Lights up slowly. Myrtle lies dead in a pool of light, twisted and broken. Wilson mutters over and over. Oh my God, oh my God. A motorcycle cop stands over Myrtle's body, questioning Mrs. MICHAELIS.
M-I-C.
No. H. M-I-C-H-A.
What's going on?
H-A.
E.
Listen to me.
Hey, what do you want, fella?
What happened? That's what I want to know.
Otto hit her. Instantly killed.
What?
She ran in the road.
Instantly killed.
Son of a bitch didn't even stop her car. Stop his car.
Now there was two cars. One coming, one going. See?
Going where?
Which direction?
Hold on a minute.
One going each way. Well, she ran out there, waving her arms crazy, like shouting at him. Beat me, throw me down, beat me, but I'm going. And she ran out there. The one coming from New York knocked right into her. Must have gone 30 or 40 miles an hour.
What's your relation to him?
I owned the diner up the road. It was a yellow car. Big yellow car. New.
You don't have to tell me what kind of car it was. I know what kind of car it was.
Hey, you gotta pull yourself together. Listen, I just got here a minute ago from New York. Are you listening to me? Wilson! Wilson! I was bringing you that coupe that we've been talking about, remember? That yellow car I was driving this afternoon wasn't mine. Do you hear? It wasn't mine. I haven't seen it all afternoon. It belongs to someone else. I borrowed it.
What's going on over there?
I'm a friend of his. He says he knows the car that did it. It was a yellow car.
And what color is your car?
It's a blue car, a coupe.
He's telling the truth. We've just come from New York. We were on our way to West Egg when we saw something happen, so we stopped.
All right. Let's go clear this area. And now, if you have me that name again correctly this time.
Goddamn coward. Didn't even stop his car.
They exit. Wilson crosses to Myrtle and cradles her dead body. They remain isolated in a spot during the following. Daisy runs on, crying hysterically. Gatsby chases after her as the outside of the Buchanan house forms around them.
Daisy! Daisy, wait!
Let me go. I need to get inside.
All right, everything's going to be all right.
Ruined. It's ruined. Don't you see?
It's going to be fine. I promise you.
Everything's so confused.
It's all my fault. Look at me. None of this would have happened if I'd handled things right the first time, but now I'm taking care of it.
Just wanted it to be beautiful.
You believe that I love you. Daisy, look at me. Do you believe that I love you?
Yes.
What was said at the hotel doesn't mean anything. Tom was pressuring you, making you say things you didn't mean, upsetting you.
I'm no good for you.
You're the finest, loveliest, tenderest, most beautiful person I have ever known.
But what if...
It's going to happen. I'm going to take care of everything. And I want you to go inside. I'll wait out here just to make sure he doesn't try anything. If he does, I want you to turn the light off and on.
He won't hurt me.
I don't trust him. I'm going to wait out here just in case.
How long will you wait?
All night, if necessary. My whole life, if you want.
Do you really love me that much?
Yes.
But what do I say? I can't hide things. You know how I am. I'll ruin everything.
He knows you're upset. It's okay to be upset, but don't let him talk you into anything. Don't say anything. Just give me time to set things up, and then we'll go away like we planned.
Yes. Yes. That's all I want. It's all I've ever wanted.
As soon as I know you're safe here tonight, I'll wait for your call at home. Our love is all that matters. We'll go back to Louisville and get married and start over and have the life we were meant to have. You asked me if we could erase time. The answer is yes. I'm erasing it now, right here. The past is erased forever. Now it's only you and me.
Oh my God, he's home. Jay?
I'll be right here outside the window. Nothing's going to happen to you, I promise. Nobody's ever going to hurt you again. Call me tomorrow. I'll wait for your call.
I ought to have dropped you in West Egg, Nick. There's nothing we can do tonight. I'll telephone for a taxi to take you home. And while you're waiting, you and Jordan better go in the kitchen and have him get you some supper, if you want any. Come in.
No thanks, but I'd be glad if you ordered me the taxi. I'll wait outside.
Daisy's home. Goodbye then, Nick. Goodbye tomorrow.
Are you sure you won't come in, Nick?
No thanks.
It's only 9:30. May as well make the best of it.
Is it true?
What?
What Tom said. Scandal about your tournament.
What's that got to do with anything?
They say you moved your ball from a bad line, that's how you won.
People say all sorts of things when you're famous.
I read about it. The caddy retracted his statement. Did you buy him off?
Nick, you're one of the few honest people I know. That's why I like you. Come on in.
Goodbye, Jordan.
Goodbye? Like that? You throw me over?
I need to go home.
You throw me over for a rumor?
I just need some time to think.
Fine. Be a coward. Run away. I don't give a damn about you anyway. But hey, at least it was a new kind of experience. Do you remember the conversation we had earlier about driving car?
What about it?
You said a bad driver was only safe until she met another bad driver. Well, I guess I met another bad driver, didn't I? I mean, it was careless of me to make such a wrong guess. I thought you were different, Nick. I thought you were rather an honest, straightforward person. I thought it was your secret pride.
I'm 30, Jordan. 30. I'm 5 years too old to lie to myself and call it honor.
Goodbye, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Jesus, what are you doing?
Just standing here, old sport. Did you see any trouble on the road?
Yes,
Was she killed?
yes.
Thought so. I told Daisy I thought so. It's better that the shock should come all at once. She stood it pretty well. Got to West Egg by a side road and left the car in my garage. I don't think anybody saw us, but of course I can't be sure. Who's the woman?
Her name was Wolfson. Her husband owns the garage. What the hell happened?
Well, I grabbed the wheel from Daisy and tried to swing it away.
Daisy! Daisy was driving.
Yes, but of course I'll say I was.
I just assumed.
See, when we left New York, she was very nervous and she thought it would steady her to drive. And this woman rushed out at us just as we were passing a car coming the other way. It all happened in a minute, but it seemed to me that she wanted to speak to us. Thought we were somebody she knew. Well, first Daisy turned away from the woman toward the other car, and then she lost her nerve and turned back. The second my hand reached the wheel, I felt the shock. It must have killed her instantly.
It ripped her open, for Christ's sake.
I don't want to know.
Why didn't you stop? Get some help.
Daisy stepped on it. I tried to make her stop, but she couldn't, so I pulled on the emergency brake. Then she fell over into my lap and asked to be taken home.
You've got to go to the police.
I can't do that.
Tell them it was an accident.
I'm gonna fix everything.
But everyone saw the car. There are eyewitnesses. They'll trace it to you. You can't hide a car like that. And then they'll find out Daisy was driving.
I won't let that happen. Neither will you. She'll be all right tomorrow. I'm just gonna wait here and see if he tries to bother her.
That's my taxi. You better come home with me.
I want to wait here till Daisy goes to bed.
Gatsby!
Good night. Well, it's sport.
I don't understand you people.
Midnight, the Valley of Ashes. And the eyes of Dr. Eckelberg, Wilson's rocks Myrtle's body back and forth, muttering to himself.
You should drink a cup of coffee, George. Come on, do you good.
have a way of finding out about that car. The other one, it belongs to. A couple of months ago, she came back from the city, her face bruised, her nose swollen. Oh my God. Oh my God. He killed her.
Who did?
I have a way of finding out.
This has been a strain to you, and you don't know what you're saying.
He murdered her.
It was an accident, George.
I'm one of these trusted fellas, and I don't think any harm to nobody. But when I get to know a thing, I know it. It was the man in that car. She ran out to speak with him, and he wouldn't stop.
How could she have been like that?
She's a deep one.
Maybe you got some friend that I could telephone, or
I spoke to her. I told her she might fool me. She might fool me, but she couldn't fool God. I took her to the window and I said, God knows what you've been doing. Everything you've been doing. You may fool me, but you can't fool God.
The eyes of Dr. Eckelberg glow brighter.
God sees everything.
Wilson stares up at the glowing eyes, cradling Myrtle in his arms as warm light reveals Nick pacing next to Gatsby's pool. Gatsby enters, dressed in a robe and swimsuit.
Nothing happened. I waited, and about 4 o'clock she came to the window and stood there for a minute and then turned out the light.
You gotta go away. Atlantic City for a week, or up to Montreal.
Do that. I couldn't possibly leave Daisy.
Why won't you listen to me?
I owe you an apology, Nick.
I don't care about that.
I owe you an apology for some of the lies. James Gatz. That's really, or at least legally, my name. We're cousins. Nick, you and me. 2 boys out of the Midwest who've come east to make their fortunes. My parents were farm people up in North Dakota. Good people, honest and poor. So I invented the sort of J. Gatsby that a 17-year-old boy would be likely to invent, and ran away to make my fortune. And then I met Daisy. Of course, I expected her to throw me over. After all, what did I have to offer some poor farm boy? But she didn't, because she was in love with me. Is in love with me. And now I have her again. And this time it's the way it should have been.
Thank you.
For what?
12 minutes to my train. I've already missed 3. I really don't want to go to work today. I'll call you up.
I want to know something funny. I haven't used the pool all summer.
Really wish you'd leave town for a few days.
I know. You've been a good friend, Nick. And I appreciate it.
I'll call you about noon.
Daisy will call soon, don't you think?
I'm supposed to.
After all, we made promises to each other.
Yes.
Well, goodbye. Goodbye, old sport.
They're a rotten crowd, Gatsby. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together.
Nick waves. Gatsby gives him a salute. Nick exits. Gatsby puts a floating mattress in the pool and lies on it, placing the phone next to him. Staring up into a hopeful sky, Wolfson rises from Myrtle's body, pulls out a large revolver, slowly approaches the pool, and fires 5 shots, violently murdering Gatsby. Then he crosses away, puts the gun in his mouth, and kills himself. 3 dead bodies in pools of light. Myrtle, Wolfson, Gatsby. Nick enters from the back of the stage in a flurry of flash bulbs and news reports and weaves his way through the dead bodies.
I remember the rest of that day and that night and the next day only as an endless drill of police and photographers and newspaper men. Most of the reports about Gatsby were a nightmare, grotesque, circumstantial, eager, and untrue. I found myself on Gatsby's side and alone. No one else cared. No one. Where were the party people now? I called up Daisy to see how she was taking it. She and Tom had gone away that afternoon, leaving no return address. I wanted to get somebody from him. I wanted him to know that somebody cared. I went into the room where he lay just to reassure him. I'll get somebody for you, Gatsby. Don't you worry, just trust me, I'll get somebody.
I can't do it. I can't get mixed up in it.
But you were his closest friend.
I raised him up out of nothing. Right out of the gutter.
The funeral's this afternoon.
You know, I'd like to come.
Then come.
I can't. When a man gets killed, I never like to get mixed up in it in any way. I keep out.
He'd want you there.
Mr. Carraway, let us learn to show our friendship for a man when he is alive, and not after he is dead.
The day of the funeral, nobody came. Daisy never even sent a message, not even a flower. One afternoon late in October, I saw Tom and Daisy walking ahead of me on Fifth Avenue. Just as I slowed to avoid overtaking them, I suddenly saw them.
Nick! Daisy, look! It's Nick! What's the matter? Object to shaking hands with me?
Yes, you know what I think of you.
You're crazy, Nick. Crazy as hell. I don't know what's the matter with you.
What did you say to Wolfson?
I told him the truth. He came to the house while we were getting ready to leave. He was crazy enough to kill me if I hadn't told him who owned the car. His hand was on a revolver in his pocket the whole time. But if I did tell him, Gatsby had it coming. He ran over Myrtle like you'd run over a dog and not even stopped his car.
You were always my favorite cousin, Nick.
You're careless people! You smash things and creatures and then retreat back into your money with your fast carelessness. Whatever it is that keeps you together, and then you let other people clean up the mess that you made. I couldn't forgive any of them. After Gatsby's death, the East became haunted for me, distorted. It was time to go home, back west where the blue smoke, brittle leaves stirs in the air. The wind blows the laundry stiff on the line.
The mist rolls in, and the blinking green light appears.
As I brooded on all of this, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out that green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come a long way to this blue lawn, this huge failure of a house. His dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms further, and then one fine morning, so we beat on, boats against the current, one back ceaseless.
Lights on Nick and Gatsby fade. Only the eyes of Dr. Eckelberg glow through the mist of the dreamscape, illuminating a landscape of sea and sky as lights fade to black. End of play.